Your eyes open. You're not even fully awake yet. Still in that strange space between dreaming and consciousness. And your hand is already moving, reaching, grabbing, unlocking. Screen lights up. Notifications, messages, news, social media. The world floods in before you've even remembered who you are. This happens automatically. No thought, no decision. Just pure reflex. Like your hand has its own nervous system that bypasses your awareness entirely. Why? Most people will say it's habit, or they'll say they need to check the time, or they're expecting an important message, or they just want to see what's happening. But that's not what's actually going on. What's actually going on is you're running from the most vulnerable moment of your day. The moment when you're alone with yourself, undefended, before you've had time to construct the persona you'll wear for the next 16 hours. That moment terrifies you, so you kill it immediately with distraction. Think about what those first few seconds after waking actually are. You're emerging from unconsciousness, from dreams, from a state where your usual defences don't exist. Your mind is open, soft, unformed. This is the most authentic you'll be all day. The most direct access you have to what you actually feel, what you actually think, what's actually going on underneath all the performance. And you can't stand it. So within seconds, you're gone. Disappeared into your phone, into other people's lives, into news and updates and messages, into anything except the naked truth of your own unfiltered experience. This isn't about staying informed. It's not about being connected. It's about avoiding the person you wake up, as before you have time to remember who you're supposed to be. Here's what makes this so powerful. Your brain in the morning is in a unique state. Scientists call it sleep inertia, the transition period between sleep and full consciousness. Your cognitive functions haven't fully come online yet. Your filtering mechanisms aren't working. Your defences are down. In this state, you're extraordinarily receptive. Whatever enters your awareness now will shape your entire day. Not because you're weak, because you're open. And what do you choose to let in during this precious window? External stimulation, other people's priorities, the news cycle, social comparison, demands, problems, other people's emotions. You flood your undefended mind with information designed to trigger response, designed to make you react, designed to activate your nervous system and pull you out of your own experience and into someone else's agenda. And by the time you're fully awake, you're already living in reaction mode, already responding, already managing, already miles away from yourself. This is strategic, not consciously strategic, but strategic nonetheless. Because if you don't immediately fill that morning space with external input, you'll have to feel what's actually there. The anxiety you went to sleep with, the dissatisfaction you've been avoiding, the questions you don't want to answer, the feelings you don't know how to handle, the emptiness you're terrified to acknowledge. All of it surfaces in those first few minutes because your usual mechanisms for suppressing it haven't activated yet. You're raw, real, unedited, and that's unbearable. So you reach for the phone, and the phone gives you exactly what you need: instant escape from your own inner experience. But here's the cost: you never get to meet yourself, the real self, the one that exists before the performance starts, the one that has things to tell you if you just listen. Instead, you train yourself to avoid that meeting. Every single morning, until the avoidance becomes so automatic you forget you're doing it, until you genuinely believe you're just checking your phone, not running from yourself. And the running becomes your normal, becomes invisible, becomes just how mornings work. But it's not. It's a choice. One you're making unconsciously, dozens of times, every week. And that choice is shaping your entire life. Because how you start your day determines the day. If you start by immediately surrendering your attention to external demands, you'll spend the rest of the day in that same pattern, reacting, responding, never quite catching up, never quite feeling like you're living your life instead of responding to it. But if you start by being with yourself, even for a few minutes, even in discomfort, something different becomes possible. By the way, our shared space of light and awareness is on its way to 100,000 people. Thank you to everyone who subscribes and brings this moment closer. Let's look at what's actually happening in your body and brain when you grab your phone immediately after waking. First, there's the hormone situation. Your body naturally produces cortisol in the morning. It's what makes you feel alert, ready to face the day. It's supposed to rise gradually, helping you transition from sleep to wakefulness smoothly. But when you grab your phone, especially one with a bright blue screen, you spike that cortisol artificially. You trigger a stress response before you're even out of bed. Your body interprets the sudden influx of information, the bright light, the demands for attention as danger, something urgent, something that requires immediate response. So your cortisol doesn't rise naturally. It explodes, and you start your day already in fight or flight mode, already stressed, already mobilized for threat. This isn't theoretical. Studies show that people who check phones first thing in the morning have cortisol levels 2 to 7 times higher than they should. 2 to 7 times. You're essentially dosing yourself with stress hormone before you've even stood up. And once that cortisol is high, it stays high. You spend the entire day operating from that elevated baseline. Everything feels more urgent, more stressful, more demanding, not because the day is actually harder, but because you started it in panic mode. Second, there is dopamine, that hit of pleasure when you see notifications, messages, updates. Your brain releases dopamine in response to novelty and reward. And your phone is designed to provide both constantly. So when you check it first thing in the morning, you're flooding your brain with dopamine before you're even fully conscious. You're setting up an expectation. This is what good feelings come from. External stimulation, constant novelty, immediate reward, and your brain learns. It learns that to feel okay, you need external input. That being with yourself in silence, with nothing happening, feels bad by comparison. So you become dependent. Not dramatically, not in a way you'd necessarily recognise as addiction, but dependent nonetheless. Needing that hit to feel normal, feeling anxious and uncomfortable when it's not available. This is conditioning, pure and simple, and you're doing it to yourself every single morning. Third, there's the direction of your attention. In those first few minutes, your attention is fluid. It hasn't locked onto anything yet. You get to choose where it goes, what matters, what deserves focus. And you choose external, other people, the news, social media, messages, problems that aren't yours, priorities that aren't yours, lives that aren't yours. You train your attention to look outward immediately, to prioritise external over internal. to value what's happening out there more than what's happening in here. And that becomes your default all day, every day. Your attention constantly pulled outward, constantly reacting to external stimuli, never quite resting in your own experience. You lose the ability to be internally referenced, to know what you want, what you feel, what matters to you independent of external input, because you've trained yourself to look outside for those answers from the moment you wake up. Fourth, and this is the part nobody talks about, you give away your morning. The morning is yours. It's the only time of day that truly belongs to you. Before the world's demands activate, before work starts, before people need things, before the day's momentum takes over. It's sacred space, time to orient yourself, to remember who you are and what matters, to set your own intention instead of responding to someone else's. But when you check your phone immediately, you surrender that space. You let other people's priorities become your priorities. You let external demands set your agenda. You let the world tell you what to think about, what to care about, what to do. And once that happens, the rest of your day unfolds in reaction. You're not leading your life. You're responding to it, constantly playing catch up, constantly feeling like you're behind, because you are. You started behind. You started by giving control to forces outside yourself, and you never got it back. Here's what people don't understand. This isn't just about productivity. It's not about optimizing your morning routine or being more disciplined. It's about who's in charge of your life. When you reflexively check your phone the second you wake up, you're declaring, external forces control my attention. Other people's needs matter more than my own experience. I don't trust myself to exist without immediate distraction. That declaration shapes everything. How you work, how you relate, how you feel, who you become. Because you're not practicing being with yourself. You're practicing avoiding yourself. And practice creates permanence. The pattern you establish in the morning, immediately seeking external input, immediately responding to demands, immediately abandoning your own inner experience. That's the pattern you'll repeat all day. You'll check your phone at every spare moment. You'll feel anxious when you can't. You'll struggle to be present with people because part of you is always waiting for the next notification. You'll have trouble focusing because your attention has been trained to jump from thing to thing. And underneath all of it, you'll feel disconnected from yourself, from your own life, like you're living someone else's existence instead of your own. Because you are. You handed it over the first thing in the morning, and you've been living in reaction mode ever since. So what's the alternative? Not checking your phone doesn't mean lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling anxious. It means giving yourself a few minutes to land, to feel what's actually there, to remember who you are before you start performing who you think you should be. It means sitting with the discomfort. If discomfort comes up, sitting with the anxiety. If anxiety comes up, sitting with the emptiness. If emptiness comes up. Not forever. Not for hours. Just for a few minutes. Long enough to acknowledge it. Long enough to breathe with it. Long enough to realise it won't kill you. And then, when you do pick up your phone, you're doing it from a place of choice instead of compulsion, from a place of groundedness instead of panic, from a place of self rather than escape. That difference might seem small, but it's everything, because it's the difference between living your life and being lived by it, between choosing your experience and being chosen by it, between presence and perpetual distraction. And that difference starts the second you wake up. With one simple question: who do I meet first today? Myself or everyone else? If this video made you see your morning differently, write in the comments, I meet myself first. Write it as your commitment to reclaiming that sacred space. Nobody